LGB Alliance, the transphobic organisation, has now been granted charity status within the UK.
I want you to notice the rage from her voice. She ain't happy that for once, we, who experience same-sex attraction, can have an organization that represents us, without being lumped with the gender-crazed people.
I am a trans man.
I'm supposed to believe that you're a man? Nah, you're a woman who thinks that she's a man. That's different.
And it angers me, it saddens me, but it doesn't surprise me because the UK is very transphobic and has been for a very long time.
The UK is far from being exemplary, but there is one thing for sure I cannot blame them for. They have opened the door to critical thinking publicly. LGB Alliance is a perfect example of that. What's happening in the UK is a consequence of your actions. Deal with it.
This is just cementing that fact even further for me. If you don't know who LGB Alliance are, they are a charity.
Why put in quotation marks when saying charity? LGB Alliance is a charity, whether you like it or not.
Who were founded in 2019 to oppose LGBT rights charity Stonewall's policies on transgender issues.
The main reason for LGB Alliance existing in the first place is how Stonewall and other LGBTQ plus organizations are promoting transgenderism at the expense of the LGB community. At this point, you can call them TQ plus organizations. They do not hate trans-identified individuals, and you could see it if you took only 5 seconds to go on their website where they declare the following. We advance the interest of lesbians, gay men, and bisexuals, and stand up for our right to live as same-sex attracted people, without discrimination or disadvantage. We will ensure that the voices of lesbians, gay men, and bisexuals are heard in all public and political discussions affecting our lives. Seeing them as a hate group is a really childish way to analyze, if we can call that analyze, the situation. This is like a religious organization that would be opposing the creation of an atheist organization because it goes against their way of thinking, where gender is the mythological god that the TQ plus community believes in.
They believe some very, very harmful things. They believe that trans people are bad. They believe that trans people brainwash children into being trans. They believe that being trans is something that can be cured.
Two things about what you just said. Transgenderism is indeed a tool that is used against children to make them believe that if they do not conform to stereotypes imposed by the status quo, then they have to put themselves into a box that we call gender, a word that is erasing bit by bit the reality of biological sex. I would also like everyone who is watching this video to pay attention to the way this trans activist, and actually every trans activist that you will ever encounter, portray what gender means to them. It is really deceptive. They constantly claim that gender and sex is different from their perspective. Nevertheless, if they did indeed recognize the difference, we wouldn't argue about children taking puberty blockers and going through surgery in order to alter characteristics that are linked to their biological sex, and then wanting to change legally their birth certificate to the other sex. If gender was about identity and how you express yourself, why would you initiate steps that are directly linked to changing your sex? I couldn't care less about how you identify as, but don't come here and tell me that gender identity is just about expressing oneself, because it isn't. It goes way beyond that. For them, gender is sex, and you can see every fucking single company who has a website page asking you for your information, spreading lies by asking your gender when the two options are male and female.
I don't need to tell you guys why this is a harmful ideology, and I certainly don't need to tell you guys why it's harmful. that they have been granted as a charity status.
So far, the only thing that you've done is whining, whining and whining again. You can't expect people to believe you just because your feelings are hurt. This has the same vibe as
Master Chief, you mind telling me the source?
Sir, reddit.com.
I just think that it's disgusting that the government has allowed this disgusting organization who think the most vulnerable people within the trans community, trans children, need to be cured and not loved and supported and given the means to be happy, transition and counselling and Tavistock and blockers.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
You're just rambling with no evidence. This is getting pathetic. Just stop.
I don't understand why the government are condoning this behaviour from this disgusting organisation who think trans people are just a threat to women's spaces. That's not what we are.
You, as an individual, may not be a particular threat, but do I have to remind you which sex is committing the most sexual offences, whether it is in the UK or globally? Letting the possibility for men to integrate female-only spaces is permitting sex offenders and pedophiles to commit their crimes more easily. Again, could you just stop thinking about your ass for 1 minute?
We just want to exist. We want to be told that it's okay to exist, and we want to be allowed to feel as safe in the country as a cis person who walks down the street might feel.
The "we just want to exist" argument is a diversion. I've heard it so many times. Nobody is denying the fact that you exist. Criticizing your choices and the effect it has on our society isn't denying you anything other than you wanting to be validated. Unfortunately for you, I ain't here for that.
What the government is telling trans people all over the UK by granting this disgusting organisation charity status is fuck you. They're saying that we don't matter. They're saying that we don't matter and they don't care about us. After the blockers situation and the Tavistock being taken to court because of blockers and blockers being stopped, it's just the icing on top of a very transphobic cake.
The only way you can see yourself as a victim, it would be the victim of this regressive ideology that made you think that you're a man and stopped you from expressing yourself as the woman you really are. The Tavistock case was highlighting the harm done to children who were gaslighted by these money-loving therapists into believing that something was wrong with them, affirming their thoughts. Here you are, defending this clinic. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Really, that a hate group has not only been given a platform to spread their hate and misinformation about trans people to vulnerable people who might be researching how to help their trans children.
You are not protecting young girls and boys. You are recruiting them into a lifelong medical experiment. Why would you think that a child can consent to changing irreversibly, for the most part, their bodies? If we go down that road, then a child can consent to absolutely anything that an adult can. This is an open door for pedophilia.
I just wanted to make this video to let you know what's going on and let you know why it's dangerous and just let you know that if you're angry about this, you are not alone. Sign the petitions, write to your MP, tell them that trans people will not go down without a bloody fight, because I will fight this until my face is as pink as my hair.
Okay, sure. Whatever makes you happy, I guess. The fact that the simple existence of an LGB organization is triggering them should be a red flag to everyone who is watching this. Creating spaces for trans-identified men and women is totally fine, but creating a spaces for homosexuals is crossing the line.
Shut up and sit down.